Hi everyone, I'm here with,
Sal Lavallo.
and my name is Brian Greco. Sal is a good friend of mine, and we are here today talking a little bit about his background as a traveler. I wanted to do a little bit of an in-depth interview so you guys can get to know him and what he's up to. He's on a really exciting travel journey, and I'm excited for you all to hear a little bit about his story, what led him to travel, and what his journeys have brought him to thus far as he approaches a very exciting goal. So Sal, can you just introduce yourself a little bit to anyone who's new to what you're doing and what you're up to in the world?
Yes, so I'm Sal Lavallo. I'm 26 years old. I've been traveling the world for the past 10 years or so, and now I'm quite close to visiting every country in the world. I have 18 left, and I should be finishing this year.
Awesome. So you are on a kind of travel that is something a lot of people aspire to. People want to see the whole world, and you're really doing it. What does that goal mean to you of visiting every country in the world? What does that signify to you?
So a lot of my background professionally and academically is in economic development and in identity. So why I've done a lot of the travel is to understand better the economic systems in the world, the
Right.
political systems, and to compare them and to kind of see the different ways that we live our lives around the world and how we connect with others. So for me, the goal to say that I've been to every country is really about how much I've seen and how many people's lives I've become a part of.
Awesome. So you mentioned the motivation for you really is about looking at development, looking at identity, and I really want people to hear this because this is something that we talk a lot about in our own conversations, but I think is maybe not clear to some people who are new to this kind of really intense travel. This is something you're very committed to. Talk to us a little bit about the angle that you approach travel with. You have a phrase that you often say, and I think that's a really wonderful way of summing it up. Can you talk a little bit
Yes,
about
I
that?
often say that travel isn't my life, but the world is my life. And I think it's really that I never set out to say I'm going to go see every country. I don't even think of myself really as a traveler. A lot of what I've done is been to visit friends, has been for work, has been to understand better the development, to go places that I'm intellectually interested in rather than specific sites that I might want to see, but really where do I think I can learn and how those lessons can add to what I've learned from the other places.
Now, what actually, you mentioned a little bit about what brought you to this, but what was the genesis of it in terms of, you've told me that you spent a lot of time abroad going to school, you built kind of a network of friends, and a lot of your travels actually were just kind of extending that and living your life and seeing different parts of the world. How did it turn into something that was like a real solid goal for you?
Yeah, so both of my parents are, my father's Italian and my mother's German, but I was raised always in the States. And having that kind of mixed identity and thinking about the world and life more globally led me to the United World College, the boarding school where I studied, and there's students from 90 different countries. So I really was able to meet my peers and have intense similarities with them, but from totally different geographies. And that made it not only more exciting to travel because I was going to stay with friends, but it also made it much more feasible because
Yes.
While I was quite young in high school and in college, I was able to travel the world a lot, but be with locals and be kind of in that setup, which is easier for someone when they're younger.
Right. So you've spent extended periods of time in certain areas, and then you've traveled a lot to others for a shorter period of time. Tell us a little bit about where are the areas that you know best? Where do you call yourself a local? What's been the real focus for you in terms of regions?
So even though I've been to 175 countries now, I really like to return to places, and there's a handful of places around the world that I consider home and that I go to almost every year. So those are obviously the States, either New York or where I'm from, Indiana, but also Tanzania. I have a small farm there. I go every year. I speak Swahili, and that's really kind of like my special place.
Yes.
Also Abu Dhabi. I've been living mostly in Abu Dhabi since 2012, and it's become incredibly important to my life, and that's kind of where I see my future.
Right.
And also because of my parents being German and Italian, when I'm in Germany or when I'm in Italy, I feel quite at home there as well. And then there's a handful of places that are fun to travel with that I go often, but those handful that I mentioned are the ones that really are home.
Yeah, you bring up places like Abu Dhabi, and others, Tanzania, places that maybe are not as commonly traveled by people coming from the States, other Western world countries. Can you, maybe share a little bit about how being in such a variety of places, what kinds of similarities you've seen come forward in the people that you meet? Because I think something that a lot of viewers who hear about your goal might wonder is, okay, so you've been to all of these countries. What is it that's kind of what's transpired for you as a result of meeting so many kinds of people? Because because it's a really unique experience.
Yeah, we talk a lot about how when you're with people your own age or people who are going through the same things in life, that forms a connection. So even though I might be American and they might be Tanzanian, we're both like young people who are thinking about the future in our careers, finding a loved one, having fun. And so really you connect on a lot of those things. I think it's easier when you have those kind of lifestyle similarities.
Yes.
And you end up being, things like wealth or race or nationality don't really matter when you're dancing together. And I like to say that everybody dances, because I'm a big dancer and I dance all over, and I think that it's that really unites people, because it's just this excitement. And it's, a lot of people, I think, when they travel, they look at food, which I do like, and we eat differently around the world as well, but it's something we all need to do. And but even not just people your own age, I mean, you can connect with people on any level. And I think it's about looking for those things and how you can connect with others.
Yeah, I think that's a really powerful concept, the idea of looking at similarities. So you're coming up towards the end of this kind of initial goal you had of visiting every country. What's just on the horizon? So you have how many left? What's the timeline looking like? What are you what's on your mind as you head towards that goal?
So I have 18 left. They're spread all around the world, because I never did it strategically. I didn't think about getting to all of them until it was quite late. So I have to hit every continent again, which will be fun. So I'm going to do an around the world trip starting I think in July, and going, God willing, until the end of the year.
Yes.
And then I think I'll move to some big city, New York or London, I think, and maybe get a normal job and kind of be a normal guy.
And you are how old now?
26.
26. You're looking at doing before your birthday.
Yeah, in September I'll turn 27, and I think by that time I should be close, and maybe a little bit later.
Wonderful. So just some fun questions as we close up here. So some of your favorite regions of the world are?
I really love East Africa, where Tanzania is, but I also love Rwanda and Kenya in that region. I really like the Gulf, not just Abu Dhabi, but Qatar. I think Saudi's really interesting. And I think that the Caribbean is a great place to have parties, and everywhere has something great. I think everybody needs a Europe trip like once a year to kind of
balance things out.
Yeah, but
what was a country that was just really tough to get to and that you were really proud of getting to?
Niger was hard. I mean, I had to get the visa in the States, and I came in by road, which was scary. I had to it was just like a scary night where I had to kind of hire like a militia, they said, to bring me across the border, and that's not something I would normally do, but that was pretty intense and
very cool.
Frightening.
And just one final thing I think is really interesting to mention. We are here at NYU. Both Sal and I are, well, he's an NYU alum, I'm a current NYU student. And what was, can you just briefly mention like what your major was called, what your program was, and then kind of how that all tied into everything?
Yeah, so I studied culturally inclusive development, which is the idea of looking at development as not just an increase in economic indicators, but as an increase in quality of life. And that kind of built in the identity studies and psychology to really look with communities at what do they feel like is development, what do they feel like increases their quality of life, not just more money in the bank, but it often comes down to how people connect and are people connecting on that human level.
Yeah, I think that's really awesome, and I think it's a really great thing if you're checking out this video to continue to follow Sal's work. I think there's a lot of topics that will continue to be more and more important in our globalized world, and I really appreciate the opportunity to speak with you and share with you all a little bit about what he's doing, and we wish him luck as he finishes his every country. So thanks so much for watching, guys.
Thanks so much.